Bismillah ar-Rahman ar-Rahim. Welcome, audience. Today we are discussing language and diplomacy. Diplomacy refers to a set of certain skills that matters in foreign relations, in maintaining foreign relations, and to convey and to secure your certain objectives. Today we are discussing language as a skill in diplomacy. The goal of a diplomat is to affect the behavior of some other actor. And today, to discuss about this issue, we have with us Ambassador Abdul Basit. Sir, how are you, sir?
Thank you very much, Ahmad. Very kind of you to have me on your show.
Thank
I'm
you.
great.
Thank you for
Thank
joining me,
you.
sir. So what are your views on the importance of language in diplomacy?
Diplomacy, language is important to find anyone and then to communicate whatever we want to communicate adequately, properly. So put our views across in proper language. But in diplomacy, it becomes all the more important because here you are dealing with interstate relations. And interstate relations do not affect one individual or two individuals, but affect countries. Millions of people get affected. So language in diplomacy becomes hugely important. And people who are in this profession know very well as to how one word can change, the entire context of any one document. So I remember when I was in Geneva representing Pakistan, the Conference on Disarmament, or in other multilateral fora, we would fight over one comma, one full stop, because these things become so important for the purpose of record that diplomats cannot take any chance. And then today, and particularly in today's world, because where the world is shrinking and shrinking, social media is getting very active, and narratives, are very important. So diplomats, whosoever is in this profession, ought to have some basic skills in using proper language and then articulating his or her national narratives properly. So in my view, language is of utmost importance.
Sir, in law, thank you. Sir, in law, we say if there are two words, there are two meanings. This is the most common phrase that we use in legal proceedings. So how much you see the lack of this skill in foreign office, our foreign office, Pakistan's foreign office, because we in communication and coordination has affected us on FATF and Kashmir issue, because we don't see any significant or effort putting in this all situation.
No, I think the words have more than two meanings. One word can have many meanings in diplomacy, at least. Uh, I mean, you have made a general observation about our foreign office, whereas I may agree with you to a certain extent. I think the lack of resources has been trying its best when it comes to use of putting across our narrative. I fully understand there are issues, there are serious constraints, but at the end of the day, given the situation, any given situation, I think overall, despite many setback in different areas, I would still like to believe that my institution has been overall doing okay. But obviously, there is always room for improvement. But unfortunately, I do not see that people at the helm are trying to improve this overall situation. That is where I particularly feel concerned, because the young generation do not perhaps comprehend the importance of the language used in diplomacy. Now I can give you several examples that how even one word becomes so important. For example, you take after the nuclearization of South Asia, when India first conducted its nuclear tests on 11th of May, 1998, and then Pakistan conducted in response its nuclear tests on 28th of May, 1998. And then the matter went to the UN Security Council. So the draft, which was prepared by the Secretariat of the UN Security Council was that Pakistan and India and Pakistan conducted the nuclear tests, and the Security Council condemns, the security, the nuclear tests conducted by India and Pakistan. But we were not satisfied with this because it was not Pakistan which was responsible for making the South Asia region nuclear. It was India which started this. So we fought, our delegation, then led by Ambassador Ahmad Kamal, fought over only over one word, and that word was then. India conducted the nuclear test and then Pakistan conducted the nuclear. So this word then conveyed the meaning as to how this all happened and who was responsible for making the region South Asia nuclear. So, the word becomes so important. And if you go through that resolution, that very clearly now states, you can get a sense as to who was responsible for that. So the Foreign Office, I think, needs to, and I agree with you, needs to focus on these things as well, as to what are, in any particular context, how you can play around words and use them. I will give another example. After the Salala checkpost attack by the US, in which 24 Pakistani soldiers were killed, we were asking the US to apologize. And then we would be able to reopen the G-lock, their NATO supply to Afghanistan through Pakistan. But obviously, the US being a superpower, they're finding it very difficult to openly apologize. So we were looking for a word. I remember Hillary Clinton, we got a message from, I was then in the Foreign Office, and we got a message from our embassy in the US that they're not agreeing on the word apology, that we apologize to Pakistan. So a meeting was convened. And then I came up with an idea that why don't Mrs. Hillary Clinton, being the state secretary, says, we are sorry. So the word apology was replaced by sorry. So sorry word, kind of attracted them. And then the State Department issued a statement saying that US is sorry for the Salala attack. So and then these words, if you know how to play, they also kind of help you in destroying or building a relationship. By using the wrong words at the wrong time, you can destroy whatever diplomatic space you have in any given relationship. On the other hand, even in the most difficult of circumstances, if you used the proper language, you can open new possibilities for interstate relations. So language is indeed very, very important.
So there are, in my experience and in observation, there are three levels. First is negotiation, the second is consultation, and the third is sanctions. There are these three things, and these three problems we have to deal with it differently, and these things demand different gestures. How you see our Foreign Office capacity, or there is any in-house capacity building program to enhance these skills?
Well, first of all, we do have the Foreign Service Academy, where our youngsters who join the Foreign Service after clearing their CSS examination, they come to, after their common training program in Lahore, they come to the Foreign Service Academy, and there they spend almost a year, and all these basic skills are taught there. from, language, how to prepare a draft, how to prepare talking points, and then how to hone your negotiation skills and so on and so forth. So the training part is there. But my contention has always been in the Foreign Office that we need to kind of, keep evolving ourselves so that we adapt to changing requirements. That unfortunately does not happen in any public sector institution, I would say. It is not only in the Foreign Office, but in other civilian institutions in Pakistan too. That is a serious problem because bureaucracy, inherently is sluggish, and they strongly believe in a status quo. So there is very little desire in bureaucracy in any part of the world to change itself or to inject new or to be creative, So that is the problem you would find everywhere in the world when it comes to bureaucracy. In Pakistan, in particular, because our system overall is we kind of get complacent in our attitude. And hence do not really desire, because in our system there is no transparency, there is no meritocracy. So people, know how to climb up the ladder, promotion, career ladder in different ways. So they do not really try to sharpen their skills, focus on how to improve themselves, rather than they resort to other things which help them to go or climb up the career ladder. So that is the problem as far as negotiations are concerned, consultations are concerned. I mean, you can give them different names, but at the end of the day, an individual diplomat, if he knows how to use the language, what are the avenues available, and then not only about language, because for a diplomat, it is important to know your country's strengths, your weaknesses, your limitations, what are your bottom lines on any particular issue, what are your red lines, how far you can go. So all these things, kind of give you an all-encompassing perspective. And then you negotiate either from the position of strength or from the position of weakness. For example, after the war in 1970, East Pakistan got separated from us. So we were in a very difficult situation in 1972 when the then our leader Zulfikar Ali Bhutto went to Shimla for talks with Indira Gandhi, with his counterpart. So that was a very difficult moment for Pakistan. I must salute all those predecessors that even under a very difficult circumstance, they were able to negotiate a document which, from our perspective, I think we couldn't achieve better than that. But on the other hand, if you look at in July 2015, when the two prime ministers, Prime Minister Nawaz Sharif and Prime Minister Modi met at Ufa on 10th of July, if you go by that joint statement, so that is conspicuously missing from that document. So it all depends as to who are the people who are really negotiating, and then what is the leadership's can they stomach pressure, can they withstand the pressure at any given moment. All these things kind of affect the negotiation part. And then sometimes and is it most yeah.
So thank you for this excellent answer. And lastly, I will ask you to just suggest one measure our diplomats should take in this regard, because in my interaction, we have seen that they are not encouraging the foreign languages other than English. We recently have started acknowledging people to learn Chinese language. So what is the difference between this? Should we go for foreign languages in coming future or not?
No, Ahmad, that is not correct. I mean, this practice of learning a third language has always been there. When I joined the Foreign Service in 1985, we were asked to learn an additional language, and I opted for Russian. And I was sent to Moscow to learn that. That has always been there. Foreign office officers were required to learn an additional language. So there is nothing new about it. Now, unfortunately, the emphasis is not there, which was mandatory at one point in time. So I remember all of us were sent to different respective places, to France to learn French, to Spain to learn Spanish. I was sent to Moscow to learn Russian. So that has always been the requirement for the Foreign Service people. I do not know at present whether it is mandatory or not. It seems that now people are kind of, taking it lightly. But during our times, there was very much emphasis on learning, and that was compulsory to learn an additional language.
Sir, so should they go for an additional language now?
Oh, definitely, because, but then, it all depends, Ahmad, because if you learn, for example, French, or for example, you have learned Russian, and instead of being posted to Moscow to consolidate your language, you never get a chance to get posted to Moscow. Then you either you are sent to a francophone country, or you are sent to because people in the Foreign Office look for Western postings, whether to the States or in Europe. So once you have learned a language, an additional language, then the career planning should be so that those officers are, at least, the Foreign Office should try to post those officers in those missions where that language is spoken. For example, if somebody has done Spanish, find him in an Arab-speaking country, unfortunately, because there is no career planning in the Foreign Office. And that is the missing link in my view. Our seniors, people who are at the helm, they should focus on career building of their officers.
Sir, thank you so much, sir. Thank you, sir. Thank you for your precious time. And thank you, viewers, for joining us today. I hope you enjoyed. See you next time with next